the 90-degree bend on Mill Lane, you'd never get an Arctic round it. And there's a height restriction on the railway bridge, and that was why we said that we didn't think it was a goer.
John, I think you might be confident this is for housing, not for industrial.
No, this is to the housing, a penny piece.
Yes, I was talking about antiques.
Well, for a start, for the building and getting the stuff in and deliveries.
Well, there's two liquid up there today. They must weigh a few pounds.
Yeah, and it's very
They're
narrow.
huge, these.
I don't like driving them, there's nothing parked. It's dangerous anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's suitable to have housing on there, apart from the fact that it's green belt.
Well, it's, if I just add a bit here, I suspect Webster is an objector to this site. I've gone on the consultation information on the Borough Council website. I've got an actual plan of North Anson conservation area here, and strangely enough, half of the site is in the conservation area, and half of it isn't. So how you deal with that one, I don't know. I suspect the planners have suddenly thought, oops, we have a bit of a problem here. But having said that, we may, you're looking at things about the transport, but Mandale are building 14 houses on there already, which, although they cause a bit of a mess, and I've complained about the weight over the bridge, you're only talking about 38 on that side, which is not a lot. What size it would be, I don't know, and what it would look like, because there's no detailed plan applications. I think the fact is that it's in Greenbelt, and we've said we want building on brownfield sites first before Greenbelt. So if they were going to build in Anson, we'd look to Blackstones to be developed first, and then this as a later alternative.
Like, who owns that field?
I'm not sure. I think it's a local farmer that owns it, and I suspect, like all the other farmers when I went to that inspectors' hearings, their agents turn up and they're lobbying for all these areas to be built on, because obviously it's good money. I think some objections will be coming in because of the fact that land on Rackford Road has been taken out of safeguard and is back in Greenbelt. And I suspect that whoever owns that may well be wanting to have that reinstated, because obviously when land prices go up, it's going to be worth a lot of money. Surprisingly enough, at that inspectors' hearings, I have never seen anything like it. It was like a feeding frenzy from the agents of landowners wanting to build on Greenbelt all over the place. And I can see the point. It's a lot of money to be selling at the end of the day. But it did develop into a bit of a sort of fight about it. And I presume, again, whoever owns this land will be wanting it to be kept into the sites and policies document, because obviously they're going to be able to sell it.
Are we going to object, Clive?
Yes, I think we object because, because of Penny Bees Lane, it's not a suitable road at the end of the day to accommodate with that. It's, as I say, it's a conservation area, Greenbelt, and all sorts of traffic problems in that area. That's my view at this moment in time.
Comments, Joe?
Well, it's a little bit like the last one in a sense that before any of this happens, first of all, how land has got to be sold, hasn't it? And not everybody, and I take on board what you say, Clive, but actually there are one or two local landowners who were very keen to say they will not be selling their land and have no intention of doing so. And also, even if that happens, then a developer has to come along and then decide to put in a planning application. In other words, what I'm saying is it's by no means, this is not in itself a planning application. I just wanted to make that point.
Stuart?
Yeah, I mean, Clive just really beat to I was, because it wasn't coming out, I was going to say we proposed to send an objection. There's another thing besides the dangerous road, and that's the narrowing of the road, not the bends.
I don't like it.
There's no facilities in that area for 38 houses. Just say, for instance, you have a child who goes to either Wales School or Dinnington School, and for whatever reason, say the parents don't drive, how's that child going to get to school? Because there's no bus routes there.
Well, they can easily change those, Stuart.
No, I think this is another reason why we should object. There's the nearest shops are over a mile away. So I think also the school issue and the shops issue should also be added to the list of objection. There's no, and again, sorry, we've also got the problem of we're bringing in extra housing into the village, and by that I mean both North and South Anson. There's no plans to upgrade the doctor's surgery. There's no plans to upgrade any dental facilities, etc. We're being foisted with more housing, and the facilities are not catching up.
Steve?
My main issue is the transport issue, and cars, little movements, etc. It's not suitable. But, just to correct Councillor Burton, nearly all landowners around here are jockeying for position on this. You know, when these developers waive the checkbooks, you know, principles only go so far. When money's waived, principles go out.
Yeah, that is one
I
excess.
can assure you that.
But that didn't happen to us on our 32 acres, did it? He went swaying, he gave it to us half price. So we're going to, objections, we're going to send an objection to this under the same grounds as we did before, plus...
We've never objected to this before.
Yeah, plus the extra 2 of Stewart's.
We've never objected to this before. Because this was safeguarded land last year, and the council never put any objections into the sites and policy document, other than the dog kennel
I thought we
bill.
did.
No, we didn't.
I thought we
We never discussed it. We never discussed the core strategy or the sites and policy document. We certainly never put an objection into this.
Well, we'll
land.
do so now then.
Well, can I just say that as well, but as far as I'm aware, developers have already been in discussion with the Borough Council about this land, because that's the reason that it's put into the sites and policies as a possible thing, because they'll have talked to them whether it's feasible to get on there now and can get on. So when it comes out that there's 38 houses proposed on there, I know for a fact that there've been a discussion with them last year about this, and that's why a lot of people's houses have suddenly gone on sale around here. You notice what's going on, they're not stupid.
Right, so we're going to object on those grounds that we previously mentioned. Right, and those 2 extra ones, Stuart, that you put schools and infrastructure. Dentist, oh, I got a dentist now, the doctor's surgery.
Opticians then.
Right, okay.
The facilities are not captured.
D, the proposed industrial development off the A57 Tonbridge Road.
Did you vote on it?
Can we vote on E?
I thought-
Sorry, B.
I thought-
Sorry,
Sorry, I thought
D.
we
C.
said-
We didn't vote
yeah,
on
well,
that.
all those in favour of that proposal, please show. That's all, yeah. 4. And the next one is proposed industrial development off the A57 Tonbridge Road.
Again, I put this on purely because although it's not in Anston, it's next to the Anston Parish boundary. I take Mr Kavanagh's point that it would be nice if we could get rid of Queen's from down there and relocate it somewhere else, because it would save a lot of problems in Anston if I like get rid of a lot of the sort of industry down there that brings the big lorries through. Whether they would consider moving is a moot point. I mean, it's something that we could approach maybe the Borough Council and say, well, if you're looking to build, and I'm slightly digressing on this one, Kevin, because I want that other site developed at Dinnington first and sat there with street lights on and everything else, and there's no reason why Queens couldn't get on there. It's big enough, and I'm sure there's enough space for, and likewise still at the other industrial estate there, there's still spare plots on there, I think, that could be developed. So I think it's maybe a tack that we should take to try and move them out of Anston if we can get that. That would be great. The thing I object to about that development at Tottenham in the first instance is the fact, A, I don't want the one at Dinnington to be left and everybody suddenly descend on that and pick that because it's much nearer the Tottenham roundabout. But again, the Tottenham roundabout does not work at this moment in time, so I think it's going to create a bigger problem than ever. Everybody wants people to have jobs, everybody wants people to have houses, but I get a feeling that that plot of land there was earmarked for Maltby Colliery. They were going to use that for a lot of the industry, and it suddenly appeared as an industrial estate. My concern is not being driven particularly by Rotherham, but by Sheffield Region Partnership that are wanting more land for things like AMP at Waverley, that's close to the M1, so they can use that. So it's not necessarily going to be a benefit to Anston, Dinnington and the surrounding areas. It may be benefiting people in Sheffield rather than it is us locally. And I think that would be unfair if we didn't get jobs for people around here. Johnson's printing press, that was going to employ a lot of people. I think it's nearly fully automated. Probably employs about 8 people, and if there's one from Dinnington and Anston, then I'll be surprised. So that would bring many jobs. I agree with you. If we can get that as a
There's
trade.
a lot of people work at printing place from Dinnington and Anston in one client.
Well, I don't know. I'm guessing, but I suspect there's not a lot. Not a lot of people. Full stop. Yeah, all right, Ian. I'll move on.
Please make a
Yes,
suggestion.
we'll do. Give people a chance. You're quite happy to stand up and parade around and stop with the people.
Can we-
So.
Excuse me, I'd like to say something.
Yes.
Two things. First thing is we're not here just to shoehorn things through. We're here to discuss planning applications, etc. And Right, this is another issue that I brought up with the planning people, although it's technically at the parish council area. I asked the planner, the guy who was in charge of the business side of the buildings, and I asked him if he'd done a survey of that land with respect to coal mining. He gave me a rather unconvincing and flustered answer, is that he was sure that the coal board had been informed. Now I'm reliably informed that that whole area that they're proposing to put buildings on, or put the big site on, was mined in the 1960s. So what they've done is they've done a desktop exercise by pointing out that this is a big green piece of land we can put buildings on, without checking the fact that there's been mining underneath there for the last 40 years, mining under there in the 60s. We have another problem. This is one of the reasons I'm going to object to it. This was mooted in the first plan, it disappeared in the second consultation, and it suddenly appeared again on the last consultation. I think personally, around this area, we are being taken for monks and taken for a ride. We're getting lumbered with all sorts of planning applications, and we don't seem to be getting anywhere. We make disagreements to Rotherham, and it's totally ignored.
What do we propose to do about this one then?
Can I just say as well, Chair, again, we've got it bordering onto all the streams, I think, that run through that area and it backs onto that land. And again, it's a concern if that becomes a really big industrial park, that again, it all leads onto through the River Ryde again. And we're going to have problems with traffic that's going to generate, because at Gateford they're going to build 750 houses with a big industrial development there, and all that traffic is going to come straight to Branston, straight on the A57 to the M1. So we're going to, if we think we've got bad traffic problems now at the moment, it's only going to get worse in the next 5 to 10 years. So what my view is that we object to it in principle. I don't know whether anybody else wants to add to that. It's on Greenbelt for a start, so that's your first starter for town.
I feel a sort of sinking feeling in my stomach that we object. There are times, obviously, when we genuinely object, but there's also this feeling of we don't like this, we don't like that, we don't like the other. But the point I want to make is that if you were going to develop former colliery land, you used what used to be called a coal-board raft. It's been done all over the country. They're well aware of the dangers of mining substance. They're also equally well aware of the dangers of gas seepage from former mine workings. I don't know, it may be because I'm a school governor or what, or the fact that we've all got family in this area. People need somewhere to work. People need somewhere to live. Now our housing market is, without being vulgar, it's busted. But simply saying we don't want this, we don't want that, means that other people who will make those decisions from a distance will say, well, they always object, so we're going to ignore them. Now I think if we were more cooperative about it, it would be a far better. Now I say I'm not going to vote against industrial development on the A57 Topic Road because it's not up for discussion at the moment. So my feeling is wait and see.
Mr. Chairman, there's units on Lawton Common what's not been took yet.
Can I come in? Well, Councillor St John is perfectly entitled to have a different view to other councillors around here. That's called democracy. Some of us around this table are trying to preserve the landscape around our villages, because the vast majority of people who took part in the survey that you did said one of the biggest reasons they want to live in Anson is because of the green surrounding areas. If we allow to be shoved and pushed about by RMBC and have all these buildings and industrial sites foisted on us, the people coming behind us are not going to have a very pleasant area to live. We should have progress. But there's nothing wrong with saying progress should be elsewhere.
Councillor Sinion's argument that the housing is sort of busted, yeah, that's true. That's not true of industrial. There's industrial units empty all over Rotherham.
Can I make a proposal?
Joe, and then can we have a proposal, we've got a proposal for Clive, I'd like to second it.
Yeah, it is difficult. I was going to say something similar to Steve, I think, is that I actually accept that the housing situation is extremely difficult, with enormous pressure on housing from people who, like me, living longer and still want to live in the houses they've always lived in, with 3 bedrooms and so on and so forth. The industrial situation I'm not so sure about, and it does seem to me that there are empty units, and I don't know whether there is any mileage in our saying, well, you know, can we somehow rationalise that? Have we got empty units that can be used before we start building other units, is what I would want to say. Also, the other thing about the problem is we do have a density of building here, and yet we have huge swathes of land. I think 3/4 of this country is not built on. It's all green field. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I think there is an issue about the density of the building that we've done. I mean, we could be much more creative about the way we do it.
Clive, can you wrap this up?
Yeah, can I just say, I'm just looking at the planning there. I think in the last sites and policies last year, there was a bigger industrial area proposed in Diddington next to the Trinivia, and in that area there's going to be more industrial land sited. That's gone off this sites and policies this time. This has appeared. And what I'd like us to do is, I mean, we talk as a parish council, we're objecting to building on greenbelt land. Well, this is on greenbelt land, so that should be the first issue. And secondly, we would want them to utilise existing industrial sites in the Diddington area that are not being used at the moment. And as Councillor Burt says, take up the empty units there. Let's fill those and get those used first. Then if we need more, well, we'll look at it at a later date. But I think we should get the ones sorted out that we've got already, because we don't want that being brought forward in other areas. That doesn't make sense. And I think with concerns about the volume of traffic it's going to generate through Anson, which is going to be a further problem.
Okay, so let's sum it up then. You would like to propose that we object on the grounds that, first of all, it's greenbelt,
Yeah.
and we should investigate the empty plots that are available at the moment before we go ahead with before we go ahead with it. Is that it?
Yeah, and also the concerns about the traffic that's going to be generated through.
Can we second it?
57 Corridor.
Can I second it?
Yeah.
Can I also make an amendment? That the proposal stands as it is, with the amendment that we also send a copy of the objection to Todwick Parish Council, Kiveton Parish Council and Diddington Town Council.
Clive, did you hear that?
Yeah, sorry,
So
Chair.
you would like to withdraw?
Yeah, I think,
It's just an amendment add on to what
No,
Clive
he's
did.
going to withdraw his proposal and the amendment.
I
I think it's an addendum actually, not an amendment.
Addendum.
I think that's fair comment, because of the role of Valley South Parishes meetings that we used to have, we would have discussed all these issues with Kim and the topic with the surrounding
Can I have a second?
parishes and Diddington, so I think
You've
we should
seconded that, so
we should have that in.
all those in favour, please show.
Can I have a recorded vote, please, Chair?
Can.
Councillor Baker. Councillor Bridges. Councillor Brindley.
Yeah, no, just read it to me then.
Object to planning application 0830 or LDF 0830. Councillor Burton.
Yes, 4.
Councillor Aylmer.
Or
Councillor Ireland. Councillor Jarvis. Councillor Jepson.
For
Councillor St John.
abstain.
Councillor Thornton. 4. Just said it already, but it's not against you.
Right, so the next one.
This is my last one, and
Cutler Public House.
this is for the benefit of Kevin. After the meeting last month, we had a brief word about this, and I contacted planners at Rotherham regarding the position of the Cutler Public House. As everyone remember, we voted to support the application to extend it because we thought it would be good for the community, bring jobs, etc., etc. And I was informed that more rumours were going around about the possibility of Tesco using it as a shop. I'll just read out a reply from the planner. It says, we have contacted Tesco direct and they confirmed they want to use the extension as a shop. And we told them they couldn't without separate application for planning permission as the extension was approved as additional accommodation for the pub, not as a shop. Whilst they could convert the pub itself into a shop without planning permission, because the extension has not been built and used as part of the pub, they couldn't build it outright to use it as a shop. Hopefully they will contact local residents before putting an application in, but we will have to wait and see. So that's the current position regarding the cut for the Tesco. Obviously, there is a discussion with the pub chain who will need to utilise that extension as a shop.
Pre-warned, weren't
Well, yes, you're right. But what, fortunately, because of the situation, they've got to put another application in. They can't carry it through on that.
Clyde. Work started this morning, Clyde.
No, they'll just speak in the meeting. Sorry.
Okay, I'm going to make some suggestions. Right, you're going to move a resolution.
Well, it was really to update people where we were. There's no planning application gone in as yet for
So
that.
receive it then.
Receive it,
So,
yeah.
receive, all those in favour?
It's just really to update people as to what's going to happen. Or maybe.
Notification that 8791 Main Street was granted conditionally.
Receive that.
Can I just come in? We seem to receive things quickly without giving other people opportunities. I'm a bit dismayed at this. I understand the applicant, why he wanted to remove part of this wall. And I think it was a fair comment that I wanted to remove. One thing that concerns me,
Can you use the microphone, please?
one thing that concerns me with these planning applications we have mainly down Main Street is they're in a conservation area. And every time we put concerns or even objections inside the conservation area, they're just totally ignored. What's the point of having a conservation area when we don't have no say in it?
Well, it's been granted the condition.
If it can just be held for
With
the
respect, that what the councillor said is wrong.
No, it's not.
We can,
Why do you say that?
because we make comments on planning applications, we don't always win. That doesn't mean to say that we've been ignored.
Of course we have
think
to
it
conduct
does.
the commission when we raise
It's
concerns.
called democracy, and it's decided by the planning board, it is councillors that make the decisions by voting.
You shouldn't
If I
twist
can-
over the
if I can just
We're just
say,
receiving notification.
we are, we have objected 2 or 3 times in the past to an application, and that application was then refused. So it has been adjusted, and now it has been accepted.
Right.
Right, so we received that, all those in favour, please show. To receive notification of footpath diversion order, re-footpath number 3, that's at the bottom of Chapel Walk.
Can I come in again?
Yeah.
So again, this is another example of where we raise concerns about the diversion of this footpath. And again, we've just been totally ignored. And I'm not surprised with it ignored because RMBC had a financial interest in this because they own the land and they sold it to the landlord, not landlord.
No, they didn't.
Right, if I'm wrong, I will stand corrected. Did they not sell the land?
Belongs to very good butcher.
It wasn't, no, there's a triangle of land.
No, never there.
Huh?
That's never the forest house. Those belong to Jerry Berries.
Well, I've seen documentation different, and I'll go away and check, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I will tell you now, I'm convinced that triangle land belongs to RMBC.
No, the footpath went through it.
Because did we not get a letter asking if we objected to it being rebuilt?
Can I just... I don't want to take precious time because I know there's quite a few other issues to go. But I went to the planning application meeting on this when the outline planning permission was given, and that triangular piece of land has also been owned by Mr. Beresford when he was alive, and he's now in possession of his 2 sons, Aidan and Neil, I believe, or whoever buys that site off them. So unfortunately we've never owned that land, and neither have the Borough Council. I think people got confused about it, still used to cut it.
Well, I was going to say,
Because it was cut, I think people assumed that the Borough Council cut it, and then
It's just
we
that
cut it, and it got terribly complicated. But all they've done is it was allowed to be used as a green area by Mr. Beresford when he was living in that bungalow, and
There
people
were
assumed it wasn't doing that.
2 footpaths on that side of the Worksop Road. One goes down at the side of what used to be Star's Garage into Wilberforce, and one goes down at the side of Kirkby's and round the back. And the thing was, when you got to the bottom of the Chapel Walk, the desire line was to go across to the Jack Star's line, and that's why that footpath was taken. It was only the desire line because they didn't want to walk to the main road and then go across the road there. And that is why it became so used.
So for quite a few years then, we as a parish council have been cutting the grass of a private landowner.
We
Or a council, or a council.
Or the council cut it.
Yeah, but we cut it as well.
We never cut it.
Moving on, Chair.
There are, can we receive that, please?
Yep.
To receive an email from RMBC regarding construction of traffic and other issues at the construction site at the junction of Pennypiece and Main Street.
Can we receive that?
Yeah, it's still an ongoing problem.
Yeah.
I've had the police down there and highways, but it's still ongoing, so it's an ongoing issue, so I'm trying to sort it out.
Right, next one, to approve suspension of financial regulations 10.3 to allow for a single quote for tree surgery in Anson Wood. And to approve the tree surgery in Anson Wood. I think this is because you tried you put anybody else? Yeah, explain.
Yeah, the last council meeting it was decided that we get an extra couple of quotes. I contacted 3 companies on the Rotherham Borough Council approved list, and none of them have actually come back with a quote.
Has you had any response at all from them at all?
I sent them the survey that had been done, and there was just no take of interest at all.
Did you, excuse me,
Yes.
did you say, Michael, that this is a matter of urgency?
Yes.
Some of these trees are in a dangerous
The work
state.
is scheduled to be done in November.
So we
Could
need
I,
to
sorry,
move to
So can I have a
Can I just come
that
in?
we,
Can I come in before we
Yeah.
start making plan? Granted, we've only been to the RMBC approved list. Why don't we pick up the yellow pages and look for tree surgeons in the yellow pages? And fax or email them do, and go back to these companies again. All right, it's a bit of a pain in the bum, shall we say, to do it. I find it strange that 3 companies have not replied either way. I would suggest we try again and try yellow pages.
Chair, I disagree with that. The fact is that the Borough Council will have a list of approved contractors. Now, if they've got a list, no matter what the contract's for or the work is for, you know that they have been properly screened and that they treat their employees, etc., and health and safety issues with seriousness. What often happens is if you're on a council tendering list, if you don't want work, you will put a ridiculous figure in. And it has been the case that occasionally they've won the contract. And then they have to work out how. The other thing is that they will be allowed so many refusals before their eligibility to be on the list will be questioned. But these, presumably, through the clerk, and I trust the clerk, were reputable business people and they have not replied. The work is urgent, please can we get it done?
is that a proposal?
Can I,
Yes.
can I come back in? Right. It all boils down. The reason if we have quotes over a certain figure, we have to go out and get 3 quotes. The reason we do it is to show the public that we're looking, that we are finding value for money, is to drive costs down and to get the best job done for the best value. If we, and we do it quite regularly on this council, if we are continually suspending standing orders, it becomes a farce. We're not getting value for money, and we're just overriding standing orders for the sake of it.
But
We should be getting 3
If we
quotes.
minute, Stuart, that we've had 3 requests for a quote, the company's opted not to do it, that shows that we've done our job.
No, it's not yellow pages.
John, can I, who's actually, again, I'll come back to what we did discuss it last time, who's actually saying that there's a health and safety issue, we've got to get the work done
Railway.
urgently? Pardon?
The railway, they're the surveyor that we use.
The surveyor,
That we use.
Their surveyor. Ours.
Mr Chairman, can we ask who got the contract?
the advice from our surveyor
No,
is
it's
that we have to
nobody
get
has
the
it,
work
yeah.
done immediately.
Chairman,
I don't want about them.
we're in this position because we didn't act promptly when we got the survey in. If we'd taken the correct course of action when we got the survey, we would have had plenty of time. We could have contacted and vetted ourselves, the companies.
Yeah, you think you're probably right.
You know, we're good. Fair enough, we're in this position now, but we're going to have to watch that we don't get in this position in future. We're not doing the people of Anston, well, we're doing them a disservice by not showing that we're getting value for money. What's the point of having the financial regulations?
When this survey was presented to the council considered the survey, there was a recommendation there for certain trees to be done within 3 months. The council at that point decided that we would get the 6 trees done immediately. The council also decided that we would then try to look for funding for the remaining 14 trees. That was the only stipulation of council. So the council at that point could have asked for additional quotes. So therefore I went away and tried to find funding, which I reported back to council to say that the funding was not available for that particular type of work in the woods. The council at no point till now, or the previous meeting, suggested that we want these additional quotes.
With the greatest of respect, we didn't need to, because it was in the financial regulations that that's what should be done.
Well, we're in the position now that we've got to make a decision, because these trees have got to be done by the end of November. So I'm going to ask if somebody would like to propose that we...
Councillor Bird like to speak.
I'd like to ask anybody who would like to propose that we...
I propose that we accept we go back to the original contract and have the work done.
Get a second for that.
Can we have a recorded vote?
Seconded.
Can I ask, is that quote that we have had, the one quote that we have had, is it a reasonable quote?
I don't know, because we haven't had any other quotes to come back.
What actually happened is the contract came.
Equally, there's an idea that we have for the kind of work. You know, if I ask for quotes, we have an idea.
The clerk accepts it, it's reasonable, yeah. So we're going to second it for this motion.
Well, I just want to say that I think, as well as the cost, we've got to think about the safety aspect. If one of those trees falls and seriously injures somebody or causes a major rail accident, then we're going to be
In trouble.
even more out of pocket.
Yeah, so are you seconding this motion then?
Yes, I'll second
Yes,
it.
I'll second it.
Can I ask you, what's the proposal? Because here it's...
The proposal is that we...
Just let me finish. To approve suspension of final regulations, that's the proposal. That's the item on the agenda. So are we going to vote to approve suspension of final regulations?
And to approve the tree surgery.
Right. So are we having 2 separate votes or
No, one vote. You do vote.
Right. Can we have a recorded vote?
Recorded vote.
Councillor Jarvis wants to ask.
Yes.
What does the rule say? Does it say you've got to acquire 3 votes or ask for 3 votes?
Ask for 3.
3 quotes, I'm sorry, not
Yeah,
votes.
of course.
Can I just make it point, Chair? I think we've perhaps been, and I hate to use this as a point, I think we've been railroaded into this by Network Rail, into saying you must do this by this and you must do this by that, and I think we're sort of being pushed down an avenue or a road that we can't really get out of now, and unfortunately I'm not going to vote in favour of it.
Can I ask, is it why November? Is it because the trees that you're putting down you're doing in November? Or is it because they say they won't last the winter?
Yes, that's a reason.
The reason why this work is being done was precipitated by Network Rail, but the surveyor that we've got to do the work is commissioned by this parish council. So he's not, although he does do work for Network Rail, he was actually commissioned to do this work for the parish council. And the reason why it has to be done now is simply because in his initial report there were certain trees which he identified as needing doing within 3 months, and then there were certain other trees which he identified as needing doing within 6 months. So that's the only reason why it happens to end up in November.
That's the 6 months, is it?
That's another one. So we've got a proposal.
I moved it.
Ian's moved.
I've asked for a recorded vote.
Councillor Baker.
Against.
Councillor Bridges.
For.
Councillor Brindley.
For.
Councillor Burton.
For.
Councillor Crowther,
Abstain.
Councillor Ireland,
For.
Councillor Jarvis,
Against.
Councillor Jepson,
Against.
Councillor St John,
For.
Councillor Thornton,
Because we're not getting value for money, I object. So I'm against it.
5 in favour, 4 against. So that's motion's carried. Move on to the next item, to approve the amendment to Standing Order 95 to reflect the change in legislation regarding the recording of meetings, and the wording of this can be found in the minutes of the last meeting.
Which word?
Agreed.
Which word?
69 stroke 14.
Yeah.
Notice of amendment to standing order.
Well, do you need me to read it out?
Well, I'd like to come in on this. If we're going to approve,
To give notice as to the deletion of the section of the Standing Order 95 which relates to photographing, recording and broadcasting, and is not permitted by the Council. It will be replaced by the following wording: in England, under the openness of local government bodies regulations, amended section 1 of 1960 Act with effect from the 6th of August, unless the meeting has resolved to exclude the public, the 1960 Act permits any person, including the press, who attend the meeting to report on the proceedings of the meeting, and the new provision of the use of the 1960 Act addresses the existence of different means of reporting, which include the use of social media, reporting as defined in section 19 of the 1960 Act, to include the filming, photographing or making an audio recording at a meeting, using any other means for enabling people not present at the meeting to see or hear proceedings as it takes place, or later written reporting or commentary of the proceedings during or after a meeting, or oral reporting of the commentary after the meeting. Section 148 gives a person present at the meeting does not have the right to give an oral report or commentary during the meeting. This is because providing such a verbal written report will make sure that the commentary does not give rise to any liable claim that the recording of individuals has been according to the Data Protection Act. There is an expectation that reporting will focus on the proceedings of the meeting and those who are participating rather than those who are simply attending. The recording of the meetings is subject to the rules of executive management of recordings at Anson Parish Council.
can I speak on this, please, Chair?
You can speak if you wish.
The last part you just read, we brought this up earlier, and towards the end of this new standing order proposal, it states, there is an expectation that reporting will focus on the proceedings of the meeting and those who are participating, i.e. the councillors,
Yeah.
rather than those who are simply attending, which is the public.
Yeah.
Can you answer the questions? Why are we recording members of the public at these meetings when we didn't authorise these two cameras to be put in?
Well, we've got sorry.
We didn't authorise these two cameras.
We did.
No, we didn't.
We did.
We didn't agree that
We agreed it a long time ago.
Let me just calm down. We didn't agree to put 3 cameras in this room in the positions they're in. And we certainly didn't agree to film members of the public. There's one there, there's one there, there's one there, you can't miss them.
Can't see it. Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, I'll go back to the point.
Yeah.
We didn't agree to film the public. Now, this, if we're going to adopt this standing order here,
Why have the public got something to be afraid of?
they probably haven't got nothing to be afraid
Well,
of.
those that don't want to be filmed sit in the far corner. That's what we have to
You
provide.
missed the point. The point here, this standing order says we should be focusing on us and not the public. So what you're doing is, you're going to have an adopt a standing order which contradicts what we're actually doing.
Chairman,
Can I move the vote be put?
But you didn't want filming in the
can
first
I
place,
just
did
give
you?
my interpretation?
Sorry.
It says the proceedings and those participating.
Yeah.
If members of the public are commenting or asking questions
They are
about it,
participating.
they are participating. Those who do not wish to participate, if you like, have the option of sitting there. I think that distinction is covered from my point of view.
Right, I've got a proposal. Can I have a seconder that we adopt these? Does anybody want a second? Yes, put a second. Right, the proposal is that I read out, I'm not going to read it all out again, that we now adjust our standing orders to allow filming. All those in favour?
You still don't answer my question, when did we agree to the council?
We agreed,
Every time I
don't
speak,
know where offhand, but we agreed it, and it was discussed in here, we voted on it a long time ago. Even before Michael said, we decided that we would...
I proposed it, I know what the proposal was, I proposed
Can I
it.
just raise a
Can
point?
we move on?
It's 9:30 and we agreed to extend to taking the,
I think you're, yeah,
what they call this, borrowing the
I'll second that.
Right,
It's, have we got any?
we've got a proposal, a proposal that we carry on for another 15 minutes and seconded.
I'll second it.
Right, all those in
Could I
favour?
vote against, sorry, could I speak against that? This is precisely, we started, I was here at 6:30, it's now 9:30. If we just get on with it, we could have finished at 9 o'clock and still had proper discussion. I'm voting against the suspension of sale.
All those
Can I also
all those in
speak?
favour?
Can I also speak? If he's allowed to speak, so can I.
Yeah, look, Stuart, the meeting is now closed and let's vote.
Just a minute.
All those in favour, please
Just a
show.
minute. If one person's allowed to speak, so one person.
All those in favour of carrying on for another 15 minutes, please
Right,
show.
I'm voting in favour.
1, 2, 3. All those against? 1, 2, 3.
And these are the people that represent them. They're not prepared to put the
Yeah,
extra
you
mile.
know the first.
They're not prepared to put the extra mile to get business done.
Deliberate.
Just let us down. Very complicated.
John Hill Island.